here. Okay, Bailey? I don't see Bailey. Bailey? Oh, I think I heard him.
Bailey? He's not on the list, so I wonder if he called in.
Okay.
Representative Bailey, did you call in? I'm not sure who the 2 phone call listeners are.
Dad, are you downstairs? Okay.
All right.
Okay, I'll just keep going.
Count him. Yeah, not here.
Baker?
Here.
Casper?
Here.
Casari?
Here.
Chase?
Here.
Malone?
I gotta go down.
Here.
Crockett Hubbard?
Crockett Hubbard is muted.
Okay. Dean Shinrot, I see you.
Here.
DeSello Fleming? Oh, she's not going to be here. Fitzgerald?
Here.
Blacks?
Here.
Fortner?
Here.
Foster?
Here.
Frickman?
Here.
David Gauthier?
Here.
Lauren Gauthier?
She's not on yet. She should be on soon.
Okay. Gustafson?
Here.
Hanscom?
Here.
Jones?
Here.
Katowski? Well, I don't know if she's here or not.
I'm gonna, when you finish this, I'm gonna go into attendees and ask each of those numbers to declare who they are.
Okay, Wilmer?
Here.
Luck? Miller?
Here.
Merritt? Osman? Nope. Perry?
Merritt is here somewhere. I put him
Okay.
into panel mode.
Okay. Powers, Kristen?
Here.
Powers, Sean?
Here.
Richards?
Here.
Rusk?
Here.
Starkley?
Here.
Stevenson?
Here. Sorry.
That's
Couldn't
okay.
find the unmute button.
That's okay. Thomas? I saw him earlier. Thomas?
I'm here.
Okay, thank you.
Starkley's here too.
Yeah, I got him. Thank you. Washington?
Here.
Wells?
Here.
Whitehouse?
Here.
Whitney? Representative Whitney? Okay. And Ebbin?
Here.
I have 32 for sure.
Let's go in now. I see 860-235-6409. Who's that?
That's Roseanne,
Okay.
I believe.
Roseanne, is that you? Can you say it? I unmuted
Yes.
you. So you're
I'm
the
here, thank you.
235 number?
Yep.
Yes,
Excellent.
thank you.
And I see, let's see, who is 405-7325? Could you please declare yourself?
Lynn Hubbard.
Okay.
Great.
I don't know how to elevate a phone number.
I don't think you can.
Okay. So if you could just, I'll try to, you can raise your hand maybe and I'll unmute you then. 445-7365, who's that? Four four five 735-7365.
Oh, finally, I'm unmuted. Thank you.
That was Karen.
Is that
Yeah,
Karen?
I mean, I call in on the phone, and I mean, the stupid thing puts me in attendees, and just listening. And I've been trying to get hold. I've been trying to talk to you guys to let you know I'm here.
I've let you both. I'll let you be off. Just please be respectful. I see Representative Gauthier, Lauren, is here. I'm promoting her to panelist, so we can mark her present.
Yep.
Thank you.
You're at
So
30.
just okay.
Well, I've been promoted to panelist before on the last meeting. Why can't you do it now?
Because I don't know how, and it just allows me to disable, rename, or remove you. So,
Oh,
but let's just move on. So if you need to speak, just try to say your name because I have no idea who is speaking, especially if you're in the attendee mode, okay? So
yeah, because there's no option for raising a hand, so.
yeah, so just try to be quiet unless, and then just put, if you say, I'd like to speak, what I'll do, if we have an issue that has a long list, I will put you on that list, okay?
Okay.
That's better. So both of you guys, so that's Lynn and Karen, right? Adams and Crockett Hubbard.
And me too.
And Roseanne, now you're for some reason are elevated. I don't know. I don't
Okay.
I
the other one.
I can see Karen as a panelist also, and her hands is raised.
Okay, but she
Yeah,
so then,
I was trying to do that before to get somebody's attention, and now that Sima just has me, I can't get back to the list of panelists and be able to have the hand, because that's what I put up before. When I tried to get into the panelists to show up on my computer, I now have blank because I haven't been elevated to panelist.
Betsy, do you have that power too? Because when I click on these, I get 3 options which say disable talking, rename, and remove, and that's it.
Right. So I had her as a panelist, and now she is there as a panelist. I can see her underneath White House. So let me see.
I feel like you must have connected once with your computer and once maybe with a phone.
Well, this is the only way that I can do it. So should I disconnect with the phone and try the phone again?
No, you're good. I would just leave it as such. I can see you here. I can, I think you'll just if either of you wishes to speak, just say something like I wish to speak and say your name so I know who you are. Sorry. Okay. So hopefully we do have a quorum. I believe we have 33 members present. I want to thank you all for coming, and I want to wish all your families and yourself and your loved ones a healthy summer. We'll start with a moment of silence and then a salute to the flag. And I will ask Representative Cassieri to lead us in that. But first, let's have a moment of silence. Representative Cassieri, would you like to lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag, of the United
States of America,
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're getting better at that, I think. So good. The first item on our agenda is the approval of minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Representative Rusk. Second.
Representative Whitehouse made a motion to approve, and I believe was that Representative Rusk?
Yes.
Seconded that motion to approve the minutes from our June 10th meeting. Is there any discussion on that? I personally had a few points on the first page under the moment of silence. It says that I asked members to think about racial strafing. I believe the word should be strife. And on page 2, at the bottom, the last paragraph under monthly briefing, I think it's an in-depth report. It's a typo.
On page 2, I'm sorry, where on page 2?
Under monthly briefing, it's the last sentence of the first paragraph under monthly briefing. The last line, it says an in-depth report. It's a typo. It should be in-depth.
How do you like that?
Page 5, under Representative Jones, where he's speaking about 2/3 of the way down, existing and capacity are spelled wrong. And that is it for me. Are there any other comments, questions, clarifications, changes to make to the minutes? Raise your hand. You guys are all remember how to raise your hand? Okay. Does any of our attendees who are Representative Crockett Hubbard or Representative Adams, would you like to make any changes?
No.
No. Oh, okay. All right.
I try to do as best I can, and it's actually more than I usually like to do, but I thought a lot of things that were said needed to be in print.
I thought they were good. Thank you. No, just those things. Mostly it was the strafing that caught my eye. It made me totally uncomfortable, but so with those amendments, with those changes made to the minutes, all in favor of approving the June 10th RTM minutes as amended, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? That motion carries. I did see that Representative Crockett Hubbard had her hand up briefly. Did you wish to speak? Representative Crockett Hubbard?
I keep getting muted.
I didn't mute anyone. Okay. All right, but I'm going to right now. Okay, so the next item on our agenda is, sorry, got to get back to away from the minutes to our agenda, is the citizens petitions. And unfortunately, let's see, I don't have Betsy, you left the little blurb off, which I have to go, I don't know, I'll have to find another minute, but basically the citizens petitions time is a top point in the agenda where citizens of Groton are welcome to come before this body and speak on matters pertinent to Groton. Betsy, is it a problem if I don't have the exact words since they're not in the agenda?
They were in every agenda that I sent out. It's odd, but
no, they're not. They're definitely not in my agenda.
Would you like me to read it?
Sure.
Okay, this is the portion of the RTM agenda where the RTM welcomes comments from citizens. Each presentation should be limited to the moderator's discretion, and citizens should, if possible, submit written comments. Presentations should be limited to matters pertinent to Groton. The moderator or members through the moderator shall ask questions only in order to clarify the speaker's presentation. Responses may be given by moderator and or the town manager. Citizens should state their names and address for the record.
Thank you. I know we have Gerard Donovan who wishes to speak, and I'm going to now allow Mr. Donovan to speak. Mr. Donovan, can you hear us?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. So please state your name and address for the record, and then.
Sure. My name is Gerard O'Donovan. I currently reside at 510 Laurel Hill Road in Norwich, Connecticut. I was previously a Groton resident from 2002 to 2009. And I'm currently working in Groton at Electric Boat at 75 Eastern Point Road. Would you like me to continue with the
Yes, please continue. Okay. Sorry.
Right, I'm going to load the PowerPoint presentation. You tell me if you...
I don't think we're going to be able to see a PowerPoint presentation, unfortunately.
Okay, you cannot see that?
I can try to promote you to panelist. I didn't know there was a PowerPoint presentation that was involved in this. So you are now rejoining us as a panelist. I actually do not know anything about Zoom, so I really don't know how to.
And I don't know. Share his screen is what he's going to try to do.
Okay.
But he's got to be unmuted.
Well, I didn't mute him.
He looks pretty muted. His video's not on either.
All right, I'm unmuted.
There we go.
Okay. Can you see my face or a PowerPoint presentation?
No, you got to go in and adjust your video. You've got to do that on your end.
Apologize. I thought I had this set up ready to go.
Can I have a point of order real quick?
Representative Frickman?
Yes. Am I confused, or I thought it was only residents who were able to talk to the RTM? He said he lived, no offense, but he said he lived in Norwich.
That's correct. Hang on. Betsy, say that? I don't have, unfortunately, I don't know why, but my agenda is missing anything on citizens petitions. It just says that. And I have to go find the language from a previous one.
Some of my agenda doesn't have it either.
Yeah, well, okay,
Mine
hang on.
On mine it says matters pertinent to Groton.
I think we have had people who don't live in Groton speak to us before about the hookah lounge. I think it's matters pertinent to Groton. But Betsy, can you please
That is-
look at that language and just read the pertinent part about whether it's residents?
Yes, it does not say residents. It says, oops. Ouch, I just dropped my paper.
Mr. O'Donovan, you can proceed.
Yeah, it says say, you're correct, Madam Moderator.
Mr. O'Donovan, can you proceed?
Yes.
Ridiculous.
We can see your screen now.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen of the town of Groton Representative Town Meeting, thank you for allowing me to speak here tonight. I would also like to thank my fellow coworker, Wilmer Lambert, who is a Groton representative, for providing me this open forum to express my concerns. Tonight, I would like to talk to you about a tragic event that occurred outside of Electric Boat on the night of April 21st, 2020 at approximately 10:08 p.m. Shown here is a Google map of the area along Eastern Point Road. The arrow shows the stretch of road I will be referring to in this presentation. On April 21st at approximately 10:08 p.m., a car was traveling in the direction of the red arrow at a high rate of speed. Keep in mind the posted speed limit is 25 miles an hour. I was outside during this time and observed a car from about 75 feet away as it fatally struck a pedestrian crossing the street in a crosswalk coming out of the Electric Boat Southgate exit. Please let me elaborate. The crosswalk in question is shown here on the left. The pedestrian was hit and was launched into the air a total of 154 feet, 51 yards down the road, ladies and gentlemen, more than one half the length of a football field. You can all see the photo and the distance between where the gentleman was struck and where he finally came to a stop. It was the equivalent of 10 handicap parking spots. As a witness and one of the first on the scene, I ran to get help at the Electric Boat Fire Department and ambulance located a couple hundred yards down the road. When the ambulance got there, I was very emotional seeing he was already dead before the ambulance got there. I was very emotional to see somebody dead with a massive head trauma, and I did require counseling after this tragic event. Later on, the Connecticut's police accident reconstruction team was involved, and it was determined the car was driving in excess of 60 miles an hour to launch a body 154 feet. All of this on a road with a 25-mile-an-hour speed limit. 60 miles an hour, ladies and gentlemen. This is the speed you travel on an interstate highway. On a personal note, in my 18 years of working at Electric Boat, I have almost been hit 3 times by cars not paying attention to speed limits and pedestrians crossing in the designated areas. I would like to propose to the Groton Town RTM a solution that would limit the speed limit and make this area safe for everyone to cross. This proposal would involve installing a relatively low-cost removable speed bump system and warning signs. A simple Google search found that there were affordable speed bumps for approximately $368 for a 19-foot section. The road is approximately 38 feet wide. 2 speed bumps could be purchased for approximately $800. These speed bumps could be strategically placed close to the crosswalk to limit the vehicle's speed. Speed bumps have been designed to effectively control the speed at which a car will travel over them without causing excessive suspension damage to the car. Speed bumps are available in various heights that will allow the speed bump to be chosen based on the desired speed of the speed limit of the road. These specific speed bumps that I'm looking at are designed to be removable using reinforced steel bars, known as rebar, that can be drilled into the road. During the winter months, these speed bumps could be removed to allow for snow removal as plows could go through the area unimpeded, thus preventing damage to the speed bumps, the existing road, and to the plows themselves. The reinforced steel bars could be removed and the holes marked for easy reinstallation after the winter months. This would result in an altered traffic pattern for the people that are normally used to traveling in these areas unimpeded without speed bumps. A visual method of warning drivers to an obstruction would be required. There are caution speed bump ahead signs that could be purchased at a reasonable price, approximately $25 for two, that could be placed in strategic locations shown by the stars to warn drivers to slow down. The area in which the fatal accident occurred was not the only highly trafficked pedestrian area in the street. I would like to propose that multiple locations along the electric boat property on Eastern Point Road. The above picture shows the most highly trafficked crosswalks along Electric Boat Groton campus. I propose speed bumps be installed in those 5 areas with high pedestrian traffic. I would like to provide the benefits to installing these speed bumps to the crosswalks. It would significantly reduce the traffic speed. The traffic speed could be reduced to any desired speed, 15, 25, 30 miles an hour, based on the height of the speed bump, as I mentioned before. They're easily removable during the winter months for plows to clear Eastern Point Road. And if you do the cost breakdown between the materials, miscellaneous materials, and labor for Groton Public Works, it would cost just under $4,000 per crosswalk. The con to this proposal would be that it would cost money. Now, working for Electric Boat, I know that Electric Boat has reassessed its company safety and core values and has recommitted themselves to employee safety. Safety is priority number 1, as you can see on that left sign right there. Our core values include value each other, committing to excellence, and behave with integrity and purpose. This proposal for speed bumps would align with our company's safety and core values. If Groton Town and/or City can talk with Electric Boat, maybe an agreement can be made to split the cost of the project to help keep Electric Boat employees safe. I must say I do not speak for Electric Boat Corporation as a corporation, only as a concerned employee. The bottom line is this, that if all of these crosswalks had speed bumps, it would significantly change the speed of traffic in the area. This would provide a safer environment for Electric Boat Groton campus employees traveling to their workplace. Electric Boat has over 14,000 employees working in Groton alone. We are also planning to hire an additional 3,000 to 5,000 employees in the next few years. The likelihood of another fatal accident like the one that occurred on April 21st will be increased solely based on the additional number of pedestrians. Let me ask you this. Is spending $20,000 now, is it worth saving a life later? I say yes. I want to thank you very much for your time and consideration on my proposal. Madam Moderator, I will hand it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Donovan. And before you leave, I just want to say how sorry I am. This is a real tragedy, and I had read about it in the paper, but it is very disturbing. And I thank you for coming here and talking to us about this issue. What I am going to do, I would ask you if you would share your presentation with the town clerk. If you could email it to me, or if you mail it to Representative Lambert, excuse me. If you could email it to, perhaps if you don't have my email, to Representative Lambert, he can get it to me and to the town clerk. So we can have that on file and we can send it out to all of members. And yes. I can also refer this as an issue for our public safety committee to look at, and perhaps draft a letter to the town and the city.
Okay.
You know, we're kind of low on the totem pole of pushing for things like this, but I do see the critical nature of it. And so I will refer that. At this point, Representative Rusk, please take that as a referral to your committee. Anyway, thank you for coming tonight. Is there any?
Moderator Ebbin, I just want to say thank you once again for letting me have me here. Representative Wilmer Lambert does have a copy of this presentation. I forwarded it to him a few days ago, so he can probably get that to you.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
Madam
you taking.
Moderator, this is Representative Adams. May I say
Please,
something?
yes, Representative Adams.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. If Mr. O'Donovan could also either make the presentation to the town council on their meetings and or email them the presentation.
Okay, Wilmer, can you get me that information?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Representative Rusk.
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. Mr. O'Donovan, I wanted to thank you for your presentation and just express my sympathy on what you've witnessed and to the family. I am, however, going to ask that you consider presenting this to the city of Groton. That would actually probably be the most appropriate place to start since the road is within the city of Groton. And I know that the city is working with EB and has been even before COVID just to discuss traffic and crosswalks and things like that. And this tragedy did happen in the middle of that. But I would urge you to start with the city also. And if you need that contact information, I'm happy to give it to you.
I do have that, but I figured I would go through Representative Lambert first since I do know him. So thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and I agree that Representative Rusk's advice to go through the city council is useful. I think we can also, through our own committee, we're not really empowered to do much, but we can write a letter urging this if that's what the committee chooses to do. So that's my referral to the committee to be straight. I know that they can't probably get this put in, but they, if they believe this is important, they can certainly write a letter to both the Groton Town Council and the Groton City Council.
I have been briefed in the intricacies of the Groton Town and the Groton City, so I only understand a little bit of it, but I knew it was going to be a dual effort, if anything.
Yeah, and I do think it might be a good place where EB could also be involved in that discussion, as you mentioned, with cost sharing. But again, we'll start our ball rolling. It's a small ball, but it'll be in motion. So thank you again. Any other? Representative Powers. Unmute, Representative Powers.
I am. Pardon me. Thank you, Madam Moderator. Representative Rusk is absolutely right. You have to go through the city, I believe, first, because we only approve the highway department budget, but that would be a capital improvement. And if I were to bring it forward, I would also put the crosswalks in with flashing lights at night, because this was an accident that happened at night, okay, on all of those, because they make walkways now, they make crosswalks with signs that illuminate pedestrian and walkway, and the walkway itself illuminates. And if there's not lights in front of these places, especially at EB, we need to do that, okay? If you're gonna do it, we do it all and do it.
Well, I wanted to push the idea that was a low cost, but get the point across. I would push for bigger and better with the lights there.
Yeah,
there
no,
is a street light.
I think you got to go with all of it, because it's the most important thing is what does one life mean? And it means everything. Okay. There's no cost. I mean, I think it's something that everybody at this body would approve no matter what. Thank you.
Okay.
Representative Flax.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I just, with regards to people and using their cameras, I have reps who are getting knocked off, and I thought we had agreed to not use cameras during these meetings. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a point of order. So if you are on camera, you can go. We do have like some bandwidth issues, so you may want to just go with a still photo. Representative Wells.
Yes, it may not be apparent, but this area needs to be treated as we would have treated a school zone. If you're working I've done this, you're working 7/12s, you get the strangers. You can't, people are not always paying attention if they're working really long hours at EB. coming back and crossing the middle of the night. And almost, even though they're adults and highly skilled, they almost need the attention of school children after working many weeks of overtime.
I can
Thank
attest
you.
to that. Thank you.
Representative Lambert?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank Jerry once again for presenting this topic. I know this is, a very difficult one to bring up, especially when you've lived through it and saw it happen in front of you. And also for addressing it to the body, we're a big town that promotes electric boat as a great place to work, and Groton should be a place for us to live if you want to work there, right? So I feel like this not only takes care of our citizens, and yeah, we don't pass legislation for the city of Groton, let's say, but we can, as representatives, beat that drum and elevate your voice and make it so that you are heard, and that our concerns, our citizens' concerns, the ones we represent, are taken care of and are safe going to work, right? So once again, I appreciate you addressing the body with this. We have 45 plus individuals here who will hear this message that you presented today, and now it's up to us to do our part to elevate your voice. So thank you once again.
Thank you. Representative Merritt, did you want to say something? And Representative Merritt, could you unmute yourself and also turn your video camera feed off, please?
Turn the video off?
Yes, we have bandwidth problems. We're about the large body. All right, just speak and I can turn you off.
I tried.
There you go.
I just want to add into this. I appreciate the gentleman's concern. However, electric boat and the city of Groton, especially the city of Groton Police Department, should be approached first and find out what they're doing about this accident. How many accidents have they had like this? And go forward from there. And also, if I'm not mistaken, on those 5 points on the map, isn't part of that a state road?
I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, sir.
Route 349, it comes between the parking lots and takes a left to Avery Point.
Well, that could be Representative Merritt.
That's not the area I was proposing. I was proposing going further north.
The hill?
Yeah, you would go down the hill where there's a traffic light right there. And then further down, there's an entrance right next to Danielle's Barbershop.
I know the area. I can appreciate your concern, but I think the city needs to weigh in on this with all the full information that you have and find out if Electric Boat is going to enjoin with the city to do anything.
Well,
they may not want to step outside their yard.
Right. I'm not empowered enough to speak for the company. That's why I put specifically in there I could not. I've talked with the Vice President of Human Resources at one point. He said he was engaging with the city of Groton.
Correct.
Whether this was the correct forum or the city of Groton was, I figured I had to start somewhere.
Right, right.
And this was where I felt I could start in a comfortable setting with Representative Lambert helping me out.
Representative Merritt, we're really only supposed to ask questions to clarify, and I think Mr. O'Donovan realizes the complexity of getting anything done in this multi-jurisdictional town that we live in. So
we have his information, so we can take it and
we can help
look at it if we wish.
Yes, exactly. We can help push it forward. Representative Rusk, I saw your hand briefly up. Did you have another point to make?
I'm sorry, regarding Representative Merritt, that is a city-owned portion of the road. The city owns from the bottom of the hill up to just before Chester, and then the rest of that is state-owned. So the city definitely would be the right place to go first. Just point of clarification. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, I see no more hands raised. And so again, I want to thank you on behalf of the RTM for coming here tonight. I think really appreciate this. And again, all my sympathy to you, the family of the deceased person. And I hope that we can make this happen or help make it happen. So thank you.
Thank you for your consideration.
All right. I'm going to put you back in the attendee mode and you can leave if you wish. Okay.
Okay, I'll stay for a little bit.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let's see. See if I know how to do this. I don't know, Betsy, I don't know if I know how to do this. Sorry to put him back. And
Let me give it a whirl.
Okay. Thank you.
Just go on with your meeting, but
Thank you.
Councilor Bordelon is asking to speak.
Okay. Representative Bordelon, you want to speak under citizens petitions? I will allow you to talk. Oops, sorry. I think I'm there.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I first just wanted to send my sympathy to Mr. Donovan for having the courage to come up and speak and, being a victim to something so tragic. And I serve on the town council and I live in the city, and I will do what I can to be a voice to help be a part of making change happen on those roadways. That's what I wanted to say. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so the next item on our agenda is the reception of communications, and I do have a few, and I know Representative Mello Miller has one. So first of all, I've been made aware that at least 2 of our members have resigned, Representative Kinnicky and Representative Osman from, I believe, Representative Osman is from District 2, and Representative Kinnicky is from District 4, I believe. They have resigned. And I also heard from Representative Cecilia Fleming that she's unable to come tonight, as well as Representative Luck, I believe the town clerk mentioned. Town Clerk McCousher, did you have any other resignations you wanted us to be aware of?
It's exactly the 2 that I wanted you to tell. So we have 3 vacancies that currently. So we're really looking for folks.
Representative Mello Miller, did you get a communication you wanted to speak of?
Go ahead and disregard for now. Thank you.
Okay. All right. I have one other communication I wanted to talk about, and that was from Representative Thomas. He was emailed me and did have a request to have a committee form that would look into a civilian oversight and review board, the creation of such a board or committee or commission in the town of Groton. And so after thinking about it, I'm going to take this time to form a committee, as I am able to do under Rule 6.3 of the RTM rules, to form a committee to research, to actually do some fact-finding on the institutional and organizational models and options, as well as legal constraints that are associated with the creation of an independent civilian oversight and review board that will be composed of citizen representatives in charge of the investigation and review of complaints by members of the public concerning misconduct by police officers. I am going to appoint Ian Thomas as chair, since he did come to me and has expressed interest. And I would ask other members of the RTM to email me this week if you're interested in being a member of that committee. So just to recap, that committee is charged with researching and compiling basically information into a report that will be presented to the RTM and town council when they complete their work. And I'm not giving them a timeline, but I do imagine it would be sometime this fall when they would complete their work. In addition to that, I've just learned today that the town lawyer has issued an opinion on constraints related to forming such a review board. And I will make that report, or opinion rather, available to all RTM members as well as members of this committee, so they can use that also going forward. So that was my communication, and this is a new committee. We can call it the Civilian Oversight and Review Research Committee, or something to that effect. And anyway, so please contact me within the next week if you're interested in serving on this. Are there any other communications people have received that they wish to share tonight? No. All right. So moving on. Unfortunately, the town manager notified me this afternoon that he is not able to be with us tonight. And there is no financial report because this is the end of that fourth quarter. So they're crunching their numbers as we speak. So there's no financial report anyway. And he did put together a kind of a very brief monthly briefing, which I guess is not an oxymoron. And so we have nothing there. And I believe that the superintendent of schools, probably all members have seen that Dr. Grenier is stepping down. And so the Board of Ed, I believe, is probably going to start a search out for a new superintendent of schools. And I did want to extend my thanks to Dr. Grenier for coming before this body for as many years as I've been involved, and thank him for his service to the town. So that brings us to liaison reports. I'm just going to start by saying I still am looking for a liaison, an RTM member who wishes to serve as a liaison to the town council. We are missing one since Representative Foster stepped down. So keep that in mind and think if you would like to track town council meetings and report on them. That's a really important function. But let us see. Representative Rusk, do you have anything from the Economic Development Commission to report?
Madam Moderator, I do not. They meet actually tomorrow. They didn't meet this month yet.
Thank you. Representative Mello Miller, do you have anything from Trails and Parks?
No report.
No report. Uh-oh, there's an echo. All right. Representative Fitzgerald, do you have anything for education? You're muted if you're saying anything.
Great, thank you. Yes, I do. Okay, these are liaison reports. This is from a committee of the whole, June 8th, special meeting, June 8th. Committee of the whole, June 15th, regular meeting, June 22nd, and special meeting, June 29th. So we're gonna start with June 8th. That was a committee of the whole. There was an update on return to school. They're following a, they're calling it the Return to School Roadmap Committee. There are actually 7 subcommittees that have been meeting: governance, which oversees all the committees, instruction and technology, wellness, post-secondary, operations, facilities.
Representative Fitzgerald, we can't hear you.
And they were primarily...
Representative Fitzgerald, you cut out a little.
Okay. There was a magnet theme survey sent out to staff, students, community, and families. There were 400 responses, which was primarily families. The magnet themes include active exploration, fine arts, dramatic arts, and multimedia, environmental and life sciences, Discovery Academy, IB primary years, leadership, and STEAM. The results of that survey hasn't been given to the board yet. The elementary school naming committee is still meeting, and they're looking at the history of Groton to inspire names. Groton Middle School program development, they're working on team assignments, and they're also working on the class schedules, which will be finalized shortly. And the STEAM and arts humanities themes will continue at the middle school. The summer school programs, first, the extended school year program. They're going to offer in-person services for medically fragile students. There are 60 students that qualify for the program. Parents will need to transport their own students, and PPE has been ordered. Middle and high school summer school classes, there's 50 students from each middle school and the high school. They're going to start with core academic areas, and students will meet in person 2 days, and then distance learning 2 days a week as well. On to the special meeting, June 8th, 2020. They approved the Schedule C stipends for the 2021 school year. Committee of the whole on June 15th. There was a presentation by the Connecticut Green Bank about solar panels at Groton Middle School. This is a solar municipal assistance program. Connecticut Green Bank will do all the installation and maintenance. Groton Public Schools will save on fixed cost electricity. The Groton or the Connecticut Green Bank, along with their private partner, will cover expenses 100% for maintenance and installation. And the solar panels on carports has been proposed. And they're still looking at that. And construction is to begin in 2021 if it goes through. The school districting plan, the board members requested other options than the one that was presented by Malone and McBroom. Again, the return to school roadmap.
You're cutting out again. Representative Fitzgerald, we can't hear you.
$100 expected deficit for that program. On to the regular meeting, June 22nd. This is a meeting that the Board of Ed has every year that acknowledges different, they acknowledge retirees, support personnel, Friends of Education, CAVE, which is Connecticut Association Boards of Ed, student leaders, outstanding educators, the teacher of the year, and the poet laureate who's a student at Fitch. I'm not going to say them all, but I did include them in my minutes or in my report so you can read them. Then there was a special meeting on June 29th, and a motion was made to enter executive session to discuss the superintendent's employment and performance, and also to discuss the Board of Ed being the executive committee on the hiring of the new superintendent. And that's submitted by Kat Fitzgerald, July 8th, 2020. Any questions?
Thank you, Representative Fitzgerald. That was terrific. I'm just happy to hear they're getting a solar panel, so that's really good news. Thank you.
Very.
Anyone else? Questions?
Is there a retirement party plan for Dr. Grenier?
Not that I have heard of. I would assume so.
Yeah. Representative Wells, do you have a Golf Advisory Commission report?
No, we're on our summer vacation. No meeting, no report. Next meeting is in September.
Thank you. Representative Chase, do you have a report of the Town Council, Board of Ed, City Council RTM Liaison, whatever it's called, Liaison Committee?
I have very sketchy notes as everyone spoke rather quickly. Representative Fitzgerald said most of it, or probably more than what I have in my notes for the Board of Ed. The Town Council, again, they spoke rather quickly. So I know they're working on the Noank school property. They're moving ahead with the plastics ordinance. And I believe they said, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that everyone gets a hardship because of the pandemic. I think that was a 90-day hardship. They did an acceptance of open space. They have a proposal for development of Colonel Ledyard School. They talked about a rules committee, a motion to put forth to have a high school liaison for the RTM, 2 people. That's about it. I apologize, but it was a very quick meeting and everyone spoke rather rapidly. I mean, if you have anything else, Madam Moderator, if you can remember anything. The Board of Ed, they did say the new middle school will open on time. And the other middle school, the other 2 new elementary schools are under construction. And all elementary schools in 2021 will be magnet schools. And they're trying to work on the Connecticut Center for School Change, how to reopen the schools. And I think that's about it. Thank you. If you're talking, Madam Moderator, you're muted.
Thank you, Representative Chase. I was talking. So let me rephrase that. Thank you, Representative Chase, for that report. That was terrific. And what I was saying is that the town has created a diversity, equity, inclusion committee, and I did ask Representative Washington to serve on that committee. That committee has been very active. They had a flag raising, I believe, for Pride Week at the library, and have a host of other activities and subcommittees kind of going. So I'm going to ask Representative Washington if she would like to comment on any of the activities that or meetings that she's been at of that committee.
The Pride flag raising ceremony in June. We are working on a mission statement, and we are also working on an event on August 28th. It's the anniversary of the I Have a Dream speech, and we have an events committee, and we're in the process of getting speakers and getting that whole day, not the day, the evening together. So it's going to start like at 5:30 because I think sunset is around 8. So it's going to start at 5:30 to about 7:30. It might be held at Esca Point. That's not in stone yet. The committee is still working. We have another meeting tomorrow afternoon. I think it's from 3:30 to 4:30. And we're working on mission statement tomorrow and whatever else talk about.
Thank you, Representative Washington. The next item on our agenda, if I haven't forgotten any liaisons, have I? I don't believe I have, but if I have, raise your hand. The next item on our agenda is the Rules Committee, which did have a referral from Representative Chase. So I'm going to pass the baton to Representative Richards, who can read those minutes.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Rules and Procedure Committee met on Wednesday, June 24th, 2020 at 6 p.m. Before I get into these too much, I just want to know I did email these out to everybody as the meeting starts. So if you wanted to access that, if you were able to, you could read along as well. The location was virtual meeting via Zoom. The members are Chair Kate Richards, Representatives Karen Adams, David Gauthier, Lisa Luck, and Michael Whitehouse. Members present were Chair Kate Richards, Representative Karen Adams, and Representative Michael Whitehouse. There was a quorum with 3 out of 5 members. Members absent were Representative David Gauthier and Representative Lisa Luck. Also in attendance were Moderator Ebbin, Town Clerk Betsy Mukausher, Representative Jim Gustafson, Representative Ian Thomas, and Representative Chase Foster. The meeting was called to order at 6:10 p.m. So our new business was the referral 2020-422 referral to add a Fitch High School student as an ex officio member of the RTM. To start the discussion, Representative Richards read the meeting referral notice, the Board of Education policy on student liaisons, and further suggestions emailed by Representative Foster regarding the referral. Some of the points open for discussion with this referral are how many students, how they are elected, how long they commit to being in the role. Representative Richards then shared email communication from Representative Frickman about the policy for student liaisons at the school where he teaches that he helped to design. All committee members agreed that a student liaison was a good idea to support. It will help youth interested in politics to understand how local government works and to participate in the process. During discussion, the committee decided that more than one student would be preferred so that more than one point of view may be represented. Another benefit to multiple students would be that one student could be a junior and another a senior, and with a proposed commitment of 2 years, so the older student could introduce the younger as they started in the role, sharing their knowledge and experience. Representative Whitehouse suggested a larger number, perhaps up to 4 students. After discussion, it was decided that since it was not known how much interest there might be, that it would be best to designate 2 as a starting point. It was noted that these rules can be changed later to add more students if wanted. Rep. Adams and Rep. Richards supported the choice of one junior and one senior for the overlap as the senior graduates and a new junior begins the role. Representative Whitehouse pointed out that limiting it may keep a sophomore from becoming involved when no junior is interested. The committee considered the best method for choosing the students. The Board of Education requests a letter of intent through the superintendent, and in Representative Frickman's scenario, the student council leadership chooses the liaisons. Representatives Adams and Richards advocated for the student council to make the choice. None of the committee members or the other meeting participants had firsthand knowledge of Fitch High School Student Council to understand if it is regularly a strong, well-supported organization. Representative Whitehouse suggested the superintendent or principal choose a way for the student body to choose. Ultimately, the committee chose that the principal would aid the student body, preferably through the student council, to choose the students. The committee also discussed the title of the position. There was a debate over the terms student liaison and ex officio member. The town clerk stated that ex officio members are usually retired members with experience and knowledge to share or members of other government bodies. The term liaison was agreed to be more suitable for the position as the students can share a student perspective and share the activities of the RTM with other students. Representative Whitehouse and Moderator Ebbin brought up the question of when it would be best for the student to speak outside of RTM business. The category of communications was considered the best fit. The proposed wording of the new rule is Rule 9.2.1, student liaisons to the RTM. There may be as many as 2 student liaisons to the RTM whose purpose shall be to share the perspectives of younger town residents. These liaisons shall reside in the town of Groton. These liaisons shall serve a term from September 1st to August 31st of the following year. Preferably, each individual liaison will serve for 2 terms. The high school building principal shall determine a method to allow the student body to select these student members, ideally through the student council, as well as a method to fill vacancies in this role. Students who are liaisons to the Board of Education are not eligible. Student liaisons shall have the privilege of being recognized to speak during meetings in the same manner as RTM members, although they may not vote or make motions. The committee members voted unanimously in favor of the proposed rule, 3-0, and so recommend the new rule to the full RTM. Additionally, the committee discussed the suggestion from former RTM member Annie Rogers shared in a communication during the previous RTM meeting to reimburse RTM members for childcare while fulfilling their duties. Rogers' stated purpose of this reimbursement is to, quote, encourage more single parents, military spouses, women, and people of color to participate in our town government, end quote. The committee members agreed that it would help encourage participation and benefit the town. Rep. Richards said that the town clerk had pointed out that the town charter does not allow for compensation to be directed to elected officials except for particular approved expenditures. She asked if the committee members might have other ideas about how to address this concern. The possibility of a grant or fundraising effort to build a fund for such reimbursement was considered. The town clerk offered to check with the town attorney to see if these options would conflict with the town charter and will report back to the RTM when she has a response. Further action may be taken once that response is communicated. There was a motion to adjourn and seconded by Representative Adams and Whitehouse. The meeting was adjourned at 7:13 p.m. The meeting minutes are submitted by Chair Richards, and the recorded virtual meeting is available via GMTV and YouTube. And that's our meeting minutes.
Thank you, Representative Richards. The minutes, would you like to make a motion to accept them?
Motion to accept the minutes.
Thank you. Is that Representative Adams?
Yes.
We have a motion to accept. Is there a second?
Fitzgerald.
And that motion has been seconded by Representative Fitzgerald. So the minutes of the Rules and Procedures Committee have been, there's a motion to approve those minutes. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes of the Rules and Procedures Committee, please say aye.
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 Aye. And any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, those minutes are approved. Thank you. Do you have a motion to put on the floor?
Yes, I move that we add the proposed rule that I read, and I can read that again if needed. The rule would be 9.2.1, student liaisons to the RTM. Would you like me to read it in full?
Would you mind, please?
Okay. There may be as many as 2 student liaisons to the RTM whose purpose shall be to share the perspectives of younger town residents. These liaisons shall reside in the town of Groton. These liaisons shall serve a term from September 1st to August 31st of the following year. Preferably, each individual liaison will serve for 2 terms. The high school building principal shall determine a method to follow to allow the student body to select these student members, ideally through the student council, as well as a method to fill vacancies in this role. Students who are liaisons to the Board of Education are not eligible. Student liaisons shall have the privilege of being recognized to speak during meetings in the same manner as RTM members, although they may not vote or make motions.
Thank you. Is there a second to that motion? Is that
Second, Adams.
Representative Adams, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor from Representative Richards, which has been seconded by Representative Adams to add a new rule to our RTM rules 9.2.1, student liaisons to the RTM. Is there any discussion?
I have a question.
Representative Fortner. Fortner, sorry, if you could read. Okay, there your hand is. Thank you. Representative Fortner.
Thank you, Moderator Ebbin. I really like the idea of this. So each term is 1 year, and we are encouraging the liaison to have 2 consecutive terms. Am I correct?
That's my understanding, yeah.
So, but they're committing to 1 year at a time, correct? Because I think that's an excellent idea, to encourage 2 consecutive terms, but to only ask for a 1 year commitment at that age. I also wanted to just give a word of caution, suggesting to go to the student council. My youngest child is 25. 3 of my 4 children went to Fitch. I can't imagine it's very different from any other high school. I found, although it was a lovely school, there obviously in all high schools, there's a lot of cliques, and I would hate for a young person who might really be great and interested in serving on the on the RTM as a liaison, who might be overlooked because maybe they weren't like in a group or a cohort that was recognized equally. So I'm hoping that maybe there's another way to get ideas for students, because in my experience, it seems to be the same names that come up over and over again. And there's often some very lovely kids who kind of can be overlooked. So I just wanted to bring that up. And thank you so much for all your hard work. And I think it sounds like a wonderful idea.
Representative Fortner, my understanding from having been at the meeting was the reason they had that the high school principal would develop a selection method, I believe that was part of the motion, was exactly because of what you brought up. And I think Representative Richards can clarify that.
Thank you.
Representative
Yes, it is left a little bit open with the principal kind of determining the method. But, hopefully the student body, like students kind of being able to have some say in who would be the representative as a whole, with the student council kind of already being a body in place that might be able to do that. I certainly hear and understand Representative Fortner's concerns, and we wouldn't want to run into a situation where people were kind of being kept out of those positions. I hope that the principal being in the position of kind of determining the method could kind of have a handle on that. and it would be okay with that, but that is a hard thing to be sure of, certainly.
Thank you. Representative Washington?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. My question is this position, or these two positions, only open to Fitch High School students? What about our students that go to Grasso Tech? Are we eliminating them from being student reps on the RTM?
I guess I should take that one. This is Representative Richards. Honestly, we didn't discuss that option, and I don't think that it should be limited necessarily only to Fitch students, but to students who live in Groton. I think should be the larger criteria to that, but we can open that up for discussion if you're interested. If you want to propose an amendment to this, that's one option. And if anybody else wants to comment, we can consider that.
Representative Washington, would you like to make that amendment, an amendment?
Yes, I would. I like to open it up to all students of Groton, whether they go to Fitch High School or El Grasso Tech High School.
I second it. Representative Miller.
Point of information, since Representative Whitehouse, since I drafted this, it is actually open to all students who reside in the town of Groton. That's how it's worded. The only restriction is these liaisons shall reside in the town of Groton. So,
because this conversation has been geared to Fitch High School students, so that's why I brought this up. I don't hear any conversation about El Grasso Tech students.
So we have a motion, an amendment on the floor to add El Grasso Tech to, I guess, the language that indicates Fitch High School. And it's been seconded by Representative Adams. I'm not sure.
Point of order.
Yes, Representative Whitehouse.
I'm looking at the text. I don't understand what that amendment would mean.
I was just trying to clarify that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Seconded by Miller.
Sorry.
Yeah, just because it doesn't mention Fitch in the language that we have.
So we have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded, and I'm just clarifying that with the representative who made that. Did you wish to insert El Grasso Tech next to where it says Fitch and add the principal of El Grasso Tech in the decision-making process?
If I may, Moderator Ebbin,
Sure.
It doesn't say Fitch anywhere in the rule.
It just says principal.
It says the high school building principal. As the way it's listed, it could perhaps be presented as any high school building principal within Groton, which would include Grasso Tech. But if we're limited to two, we would need some way to have some sort of coordination between the different high schools that are in Groton. So that gets perhaps a little bit more complex in that, for that concern.
Well, I would just say that we also have a Marine Science Magnet High School, and there are children here who go to Williams School and Fishers Island School. So there is a greater diversity. And perhaps, as Representative Whitehouse said, the vagueness of the motion is the way to go. But I'll leave that up to you guys. Representative Thomas, so let's go back to this motion. Representative Washington, can you restate your motion? Because I'm a little confused about it now. Your amendment, rather. Representative Washington, maybe you're muted. I don't even see Representative Washington on the thing now. Huh. I think we may have lost Representative Washington. Inopportune. Well, Representative Washington, we hope you get back on the call. We do have an amendment to add El Grasso Tech to this. We have a point of information from Representative, it's been seconded by Representative Mella Miller, and we have a point of information or order from Representative Whitehouse that the language is, does not stipulate Fitch High School. So let me just.
Madam Moderator, if I could add one more thing.
Sure.
In the discussion, we did at one point consider, instead of the building principal, the superintendent, because we wanted there to be some individual person who could actually, be able to adjust the rules as the school environment shifts instead of having to come back to the RTM every time. But if
the superintendent, though, doesn't have anything to do with the other schools. He only has anything to do with Fitch, not with
Right.
Grasso Tech, not with the Marine Science Magnet School or any of the other schools that Groton resident students go to.
Right, that's true, but it would put it at a higher level outside the building that might make it more open to it. Or we could add wording to that paragraph that says they should consider students from any school in Groton.
Representative Thomas.
Yes. Okay.
Whoa.
So a couple of things. One, I think maybe we should look at not coordinating necessarily with a specific principal or school, because the wording already is kind of broad, but maybe we need to have more of these liaisons, more slots for these liaisons open, and do an application process where they apply to the RTM directly. And the only requirement is that they're a Groton resident that's interested in civics, and they have some like letters of recommendation from people in their school. So maybe it's something that we could take, that we become the funnel, and there's some committee that would make a selection based on their applications and interview and recommend letters of recommendation that they come with. And it could be something that maybe we reach out to civics teachers in all the schools, because there's a number of schools that these students could be coming from. We have not just Fitch, but we have Grasso Tech, Norwich Tech, Marine Science Magnet School, Fishers Island School.
Point of order.
A number of others. So
Representative Merritt.
Has anybody reached out to the administrators of these other schools to see if they're receptive to this idea?
That's not really a point of order, but you can wait your turn and have your comments, okay? I don't believe anyone's reached out to anyone at this point. This is something the RTM is discussing. We haven't reached out to any principals or superintendents, so.
I believe you're making it a motion.
Representative Thomas has the floor, please.
Yeah.
All right, so just to finish up my point was I think maybe I love the intent of this, and I think we're on the right track, but I think we just need to refine it a little bit, and maybe instead of putting it on the schools to send to somebody, that we open up our doors and send out invitations to the schools for their students to come to us, and then send applications in with resume, letters of reference, and all that kind of stuff, and then we select who we think would be a great fit. I guess I don't know exactly how that would look, but I think something like that would be more equitable. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Thomas. Representative Frickman.
Yeah, so I want to say I like the idea of keeping it, letting the kids decide. I mean, we are a representative body, and for us to appoint kids to the position, I think defeats the whole purpose of who we are. So I don't agree that the RTM should have any say who these kids are. I believe the students, and if we want to reach out to the different schools, then maybe we increase the numbers possibly and let each student body select, or at least the student leadership, like the council at Fitch, if they have a council at the other schools possibly too. But I believe it should be the students who decide who this is. And I also believe, and I like how they also added a 2-year term. From my own experience of what I created in Colchester, it's a 2-year commitment, and kids are there from their junior year to their senior year. Oftentimes the junior year kids watching what the senior is doing, and kind of fulfills that role when they become a senior, and allows them 2-year window. It also increases a commitment. So you have kids who really want to do it and are committed to it when you got them a 2-year commitment. And I could also offer the committee a bunch of other ideas I have too, but I don't have time for that right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Whitehouse?
Yeah, so one thing to keep in mind is when we're dealing with any kind of rules changes, the wording is very important. So both with the current amendment on the floor and everything else, that we can't just make an amendment that says we should include more of this or have more of that. It needs to specifically change the wording in a specific way, because the specific way things are worded will change the execution. So I definitely opposed to the amendment as currently proposed, because I don't even understand what it would do. And so we did go through this a lot. It's obviously not perfect, but we did try to make it open enough that a Grasso student or a marine science student, or even I think actually even a homeschool student conceivably, because it just says liaison shall reside in Groton, could go to the whatever the method is and apply. And it's also relatively simple for us to increase that number. So if we got 2 students from Fitch and 1 from marine science and 1 from Grasso, all applying in the same year, and they were to reach out to the RTM, we could say, hey, there's a lot of interest. We could just bump up the number. So, I mean, this was written to be flexible enough and dynamic enough that with whatever the situation is, it can adapt to it. And we need to be careful with just kind of tossing words into it without being very specific about what those words will mean and how they will change the rules. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you. Representative Richards, did you wish to speak again?
Yes, thank you, Madam Moderator. I hear a lot of the comments and I agree with a lot of the concerns. I would say that I definitely hesitate to have the RTM review and make the choice, just because, who would be that committee, what would be the criteria, and how exactly what schools do we reach out to? Groton residents could potentially be doing a lot of things. How do we reach out to homeschoolers also? It could be a pretty big undertaking. But I wonder if perhaps saying something that changes the wording, that there may be as many as 2 student liaisons from any one school in which Groton residents attend, or something along those lines, and put out some communication regarding this in perhaps town information somehow at the library, or through other resources that we have, so that students who attend Groton schools, but also other schools, may be made aware that they have this option.
Thank you. That sounds like a way around this. I wish Representative Washington was here so she could withdraw her motion if that was her desire. Let's see, Representative Colon.
Yes, I just wanted to state that I 100% agree with Representative Thomas and with Representative Richards on this. I think this is something that, we have to keep it open to any Groton resident that's a student. I do think we should keep it to the number of 2, and I think that this honestly could be something that a committee could take on when it comes down to actually selecting who the student is, like the Community Development Committee, because it does have to do with the community. But I do agree with both Representative Thomas and with both Representative Richard also. Thank you, Madam Moderator.
Thank you. Representative Lauren Gauthier.
Hi, would I be able at all to, I guess I don't know which mechanism to use, make a motion or make an amendment to send this back to committee, just re-workshop the language. I just think that we've got a lot of good ideas and input here. And as Representative Whitehouse pointed out, the language is important for rules change. So I think sending this back to committee instead of trying to workshop it with 30 some odd people might be a better path for this. Thank you. Which method should I use, a motion or an amendment?
I don't think you're amending this. I think you're making a motion to, I don't know.
Send this back to committee? Or I'm making a motion to end discussion and have the committee work on new language.
No, don't do that, please.
Point of order.
Point of order.
I think she's looking for a move item to motion to move the item to committee.
Yeah, not to end discussion.
Okay, yes, there you go. Sorry about that. So move, my motion to move the discussion to committee.
Is there a second?
Point of order.
Who, excuse me, point of order of who? I can't see.
Frickman.
Representative Frickman.
Yeah, I don't we have to vote on the first motion before we send it back to committee?
I don't think so, no. The person who made the first amendment to that motion is no longer on our call.
Well,
and I don't think that that motion was well clarified because I don't even understand what it, I don't personally have this in writing in front of me. It's hard, you know, I was trying to question her as to what language she wanted to change in her motion. Then now she's no longer on our call with us to clarify that. So I don't think we can even deal with her motion because I don't even understand what it is.
Representative Washington has her hand raised over in the attendees section.
Oh, good. Thank you, Representative Gauthier. Representative, so we have a motion on the floor, I believe, but it hasn't been seconded at this point.
Second, Representative Whitehouse.
Representative Whitehouse seconded it, a motion to move this to committee. And
point of order.
Representative Frickman?
So I thought we haven't clarified if Washington has her hand raised and we haven't figured out if her original motion was moot, we still haven't voted on the original issue.
Yeah, that's what this motion. Hi, Representative Washington, you're back. Thank you. Sorry,
yeah,
you disappeared.
I got booted off to reconnect, and it took. I withdraw the motion.
Thank you. Do we have Representative Mello Miller? Will you withdraw? Will you withdraw your second?
That's fine. I withdraw a second.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Representative Washington. So we had discussion while you were gone about the fact that this actually has it doesn't stipulate any school, and it doesn't stipulate, it only stipulates that the student be a resident of Groton. And since then, we had Representative Gauthier made a motion to send it back to committee to wordsmith it. And that's been seconded by Representative Whitehouse, I think. So that's where we are now. And we have a point of order with Representative Frickman. Representative Frickman, please repeat, was your motion that was your point of order that we had to discuss Representative Washington's amendment, or what was it? I'm not entirely clear of your point of order.
I thought we still had to vote on the original motion. And then when Washington, that was left up in the air because we didn't know where she was. But I thought we still had to vote in the middle motion. Why are we sending it back to the committee when we can still vote on it now?
We could, you're correct. So there's a motion to send this to committee because Representative Gauthier, and I don't want to speak for her, but I think she believes that it's hard to wordsmith this with 41 people or 33 people, and it would be easier to do in committee.
But it's already done. It's already ready to go to vote on now.
Okay, well, we have a motion on the floor. I think you don't have to vote for that, right? So the motion is to send this back to committee to wordsmith it. And I'm gonna, hang on. I don't need to tell you the truth. Town Clerk McCousher, is this motion even debatable? To tell you the truth, I don't think it is, but I don't know.
It is.
It is, okay.
Yeah, it is. This isn't like a point of tabling or so forth. She's just asking it to be sent back to committee.
So we have this new motion on the floor. Is there any discussion on sending this back to committee? We heard from Representative Frickman. I have Representative Casper's hand up. Did you want to speak to this?
Yes. Why wouldn't we discuss the motion as it exists now? I don't understand why cutting off discussion is going to help anything and send it back to committee. The committee is looking for input. And I think we should be here to provide input.
Thank you. Representative Fortner.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I'm sorry, when I first spoke, I just immediately my mind went to Fitch High School. Looking having them reread the new rule for liaison, it was actually, I think, very nicely written. It really didn't say a high school. That was just me assuming Fitch, not thinking about all the other high schools in the area. I'm sorry. And so I think the language is actually appropriate and it says any high school kid in Groton who resides in Groton. So I agree with that. And I also, I forgot my second point. So that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative Ford. And Representative Chase?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Having been on a committee with Representative Richards, she's very thorough and she allows everyone to speak. My opinion is this rule says a Groton student, they must live in Groton. The principal is the one who chooses, and who knows the children or the students better than the principal. I think this is being made more complicated than what it needs to be. I think the way Representative Richards and her committee wrote this is spot on, and it's not complicated. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Whitehouse, do you wish to speak again on this issue?
Yes. So first, just to quickly answer Representative Frickman's question, I emailed you a motion precedence chart, which I think will answer the point of order question you had. But so one of the things to consider is this is not necessarily timely because the term for the students, I believe, would start in September. So we do have time to review it properly and make sure. It was written very carefully to include all the schools, but the focus was on Fitch. So if we do want to reconsider the language to make it more inclusive of the other schools, kind of more explicitly mentioning that there is more than one high school in town, it might be worth a discussion. There seems to be a lot of confusion and concern about it, and I think if people have concerns that's really important to them, then I don't see any reason not to take a look at it again and also if we have a meeting again, now that everyone knows kind of what we're talking about, what we're doing, members who are particularly interested can come to the committee meeting and weigh in and we can workshop the language, as we say, and kind of zero that in. But we were very careful of that, and I have no legal training, but I do have 30 years as a hardcore gamer, which gamers are much more vicious than lawyers will ever be in terms of catching things that are missing when you put rules together. So we did kind of take into account making sure that it was at least had the opening to be inclusive of all the different schools. But if we send it back, then we've got time to rework it before the July meeting. But I think it's well written for what it does. So,
thank you. Representative Gauthier, Lauren?
Yes, so just to address why I think it should be sent back to committee. There's been a lot of input. I think a lot of great ideas are thrown in there. I do agree that the way that the wording was initially written was open and has a lot of maneuverability. But I think with all the concerns that are coming forward from current members, and as Representative Whitehouse really astutely put, I mean, we do have a little bit of time to work on this to get it right. So I think it would just be helpful if we take more time to get more input and really get this right.
Thank you. Representative Fortner, you already spoke several times, so do you wish to speak for a final time?
No, I don't. I didn't lower my hand. I'm very sorry.
Thank you. Representative Thomas, this is also a second time for you. Would you like to speak again?
Yes, just very briefly. I would like to see, all I'd like to see is maybe the number of liaisons increased and some wording specific to make sure that we include any student that's attending, that is from Groton, but attends any school or even homeschool. I definitely will jump in on the committee meeting if it goes back to committee, and I'd be glad.
That's what we're discussing right now, is whether it should go back to committee, not how it should be changed.
I think that's kind of like where we need to go with it, just to kind of really fine tune it so it's just right.
Thank you. Representative Casper, would you like to speak again on this issue?
Yeah, but I wanted to speak more about the proposal rather than the amendment.
Well, maybe that'll circle back. Representative Richards?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. Just wanted to thank people for their feedback, and one of the possible ways of saying this is that there may change the wording to say there may be as many as 2 student liaisons per high school, and I'm not sure how that would possibly include homeschooling or how that would be overseen. So that might need to be tweaked a little bit more as well. But I think a good addition might also be to add that either Community Development and Services Committee or the Education Committee from the RTM kind of have some oversight of this to make sure that people are notified about what's going on and what this is, and reach out to people who might potentially be interested.
Thank you. Representative Foster?
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I think we should send this back to committee as well. And I just recommend that if you have any comments, might be useful to submit them in writing prior to that committee meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Frickman?
Yeah, I just want to. I want to also say Richard, I thought she did a great job putting this together. I like the way it is right now. I don't see it has to go back. It has the vagueness to allow open to all students. It establishes that the kids get to select who they are. I don't believe there's any reason this needs to go back. And we should move this forward.
Thank you. I see no more, so I'm going to say we are going to vote on moving this to committee. So,
pardon me, moderator, but Representative Katowski was trying to get your attention.
Oh, great. Representative Katowski, apologies, I didn't see your hand.
You have to unmute her.
Okay, hang on. I have to find her. Let's see. Okay. Representative Katowski, can you speak now?
Yes, thank you.
Sorry about
thank
that.
You, Madam Moderator. Yeah, I think this is a great idea, and I agree with Chair Richards that there should be as many as 2 from each school. But I think that Representative Frickman has the right idea, that this proposal, this motion as it is, kind of solves the problem. But what we could do is take the procedure. So basically, we have a new rule that allows for student liaisons, but we don't have to identify the procedure of how they're selected tonight. So I think that Representative Frickman has the right idea. And I think that, as everyone else has said, it should be open to all students. Thank you.
Thank you. I think there is no procedure actually identified. It's up to the principal, and the principal is not even identified. So I think we're good there. I see no more hands.
Point of order, though.
Point of order.
That was not stated. The procedure is selected by the student council.
Oh, it is?
Point of information. It was specifically written so that the principal would create the procedure.
Yeah.
And recommended that the procedure include the student council as the body to actually make the decision. But the reason it was written, worded the way it was worded, is so the principal would create the procedure, and then possibly the moderator could talk to the principal and say, hey, here's what we're thinking, and you can make it this way, which allows it to be more dynamic than the rigid rule wording that's required for something officially in the rules.
Thank you. All right, seeing no more hands up.
Hand is up.
I don't know what that means.
My hand is up.
I don't know who this is speaking. Sorry.
Representative Casper.
Oh, Representative Casper, you can speak for the last time on this issue, as you've already spoken twice, but that's fine. Or you chose not to. That's right.
Once, Madam. Point of order.
I called on you and you chose not to speak.
But the question I have is, a principal makes no sense, especially in the case of a homeschooled student. And what happens if there's 5 different applicants from 5 different schools, including homeschools. Well, who decides? It seems like the RTM should be the one to decide, and the people should apply and be interviewed or give a talk before a meeting.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to send this back to committee. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any opposed?
Aye.
Representative Chase is opposed.
Representative Ebbin or Moderator Ebbin is opposed too. Are there any other?
Representative Adams is opposed.
Frickman's opposed.
Any other nays?
Mello Miller is opposed. Fortner is opposed.
Merritt's opposed.
Point of order, may we have a roll call vote? This is Mello Miller.
Sure. Town Clerk, could you lead us in a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Can you unmute everybody?
I only see mute all. I don't have a unmute.
Oh, okay. All right, here we go. Adams.
No.
No. Baker.
Yes.
Casper.
Yes.
Cassieri.
Yes.
Chase.
No.
Cologne.
Yes.
Crockett Hubbard.
No.
Dean Kinbrot.
No.
Bureau.
Yes.
Flax.
Yes.
Can you mute yourselves after you vote, please? There's a lot of ambient noise.
Fortner is no.
Foster.
Yes.
Brickman.
No.
Gauthier David.
Yes.
Gauthier Lauren.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Hanscom.
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Gutowski.
Yes.
Lambert.
Yes.
Mello Miller.
No.
Merritt.
No.
Powers Kristen.
No.
Powers Sean.
No.
Richards.
Yes.
Rusk.
Yes.
Starkley.
Yes.
Stevenson. Stevenson.
I was not muted. Sorry. I am yes.
Thomas.
I'm sorry, my connection dropped during the actual moment the question was asked. What was the question? Can we ask?
We're moving this back to the table.
Oh, sorry. Going back to the committee.
Yes, back to committee.
Washington.
Yes.
Wells.
Yes.
White House.
Yes.
Whitney.
He's not here.
That's right, he's not here. And Evan, you said no.
No.
Okay, so 22 yes, 11 no. There's no
All
abstention.
right.
Voted.
That motion, policy change, that rule change will go back to committee and we can hopefully vote on it at our August meeting then. Thank you. All right. Representative Richards, there were no other motions coming out of your committee, were there?
That is correct, Madam Moderator. No other motions.
Thank you. So now we have no other reports from committees. Is there any budget discussions that anyone wishes to have or other business? Representative Flax.
Thank you, Madam Moderator. I was just wondering if I think a lot of this discussion with regards to the the motion and the meeting minutes. It would have helped if we gotten those meeting minutes earlier, so we could have read them and had comments ready to go. So I don't know how we get that, how we can fix that, but I'm just throwing it out there.
Representative Richards did send those out to the town clerk to have them distributed, but I guess they weren't. So that.
Yes, they were.
Oh,
Yes, they actually were.
Okay.
Some people just couldn't open, and there were a lot of attachments in that email, so that's the problem. I'll review how we do this in the future to make it easier. Maybe attach them in separate emails. Maybe that'll be better.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I just have one other question, Madam Moderator.
Sure.
We're hearing very good things going on within the town and within the RTM, and with regards to committees and with with Beverly Washington's committee. Am I missing that coming out to us somewhere? It would be great to know about it, and prior to the RTM meeting, so that if we wanted to listen or go to a meeting or be involved, we could.
I don't have an answer for that. I do get information about this Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. I'm CC'd on their correspondence. So if that's the specific committee you're interested in, I could certainly get your name CC'd on it. But if it's a broader question about other committees or other activities in the town, I'm not sure I know.
I would say that it's specific to when it involves the RTM. And secondarily, I would say town council, but again, I'm new to the RTM, so maybe I'm missing some place to see it, but I feel like I'm out of the loop on things that are going on, and there are others who do know what's going on. So if there's a way I can get back into that loop, or other RTM members can, that's all I'm looking for. I'd appreciate it.
Well, you can get on the mailing list for the town council. Lisa Hilton can put you on, and I know Representative Hanscom are on that, and possibly others. So that's one way. I think that the reason we have liaisons within the RTM is because no one can really go to all these, and so that's a great way of learning about these events. I have to say, with the flag raising of the DEI committee, as I said, do get those emails, and they announced it on the day of the flag raising. So I got an email in the morning saying that the flag would be raised like that afternoon or sometime. And it was, really a very quick turnaround on that activity. So I don't know, maybe the town clerk has some ideas on how to hook you in better than just getting town council notices.
I appreciate your thinking. I have the answer, but I think that really the key would be getting into the town council email, like what you have. I think that Representative Flax would be most enjoying that.
Yeah.
The other day, looking on the town website, there is a lot of information. The problem that I think most people have is it's a very busy website. The new redesign is taking a long time, but it's going to be much simpler to navigate. The calendar that we use for events is very cumbersome, and there's also another area that people usually don't even recognize in its announcements, and that has everything from regional meetings to firehouse meetings. It's quite extensive, but it's, again, I believe, from my perspective, and I'm the one putting the information into it, I think it's cumbersome. So I'm hoping that the new design is easier for people to navigate. So when Representative Flax was active on the council, he kept a pretty good Facebook going on, and Mayor Granatowski has followed in that same pattern, and she does a very good job of keeping current events on Facebook. I'm just not, I don't use Facebook like that, but a lot of people do.
Thank you. So those are some, I would encourage you to contact Lisa Hilton and get on the distribution list for town
Okay.
council emails. And also probably, I know you're on the Groton Community Forum on Facebook. That's one way. And then, maybe the mayor, Granatowski, has a direct Facebook that you can follow.
The email that you got with regards to the flag raising, did you get it because you were the moderator, or did it go to all the RTM and I missed it? Like, how do you?
No, it was just me.
Work?
So this
Okay.
committee is, it's a very big committee, and I was asked to appoint someone, and I did appoint Representative Washington because she had actually was the one at the meeting who asked the question if an RTM member could be on it. So, I'm sure that you can probably be on that email as well. I would reach out to Representative Washington. Who's the head of that committee? Do you know, Representative Washington? I personally didn't go to the meeting because it was in the middle of the day, like at 11 or 1, and I work, so I didn't go to the meeting. Unfortunately, their meetings seem to be during the daytime. And Representative Washington, maybe she got kicked off again. Sorry, Representative Flax, do you know what I'll do is I'll figure out how to get you on that email, okay, after the meeting.
I appreciate it. Thanks for your time, and I appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Representative Whitehouse, did you have a final?
Yeah, just a quick
business?
thought. I think what might have been helpful when discussing a rules change is if we could use the screen share, and so the text would be on the screen for everyone to see. I think there were a few times when people were asking for things that were in the text, but they probably didn't have the text in front of them. And that'd be a fairly simple thing to do, to just have what we're talking about right there in front of everyone.
Excellent point. Thank you, Representative Whitehouse. I agree with you totally. Anyone else? Any other thoughts? So what I would ask then is perhaps in August, when we have another revised rule, perhaps we can have that in a Word document, and Chair Richards of that committee can share her screen.
Great idea.
Thank you. All right. Are there any other items before I ask for adjournment? Is there a motion to adjourn on someone?
Motion to adjourn.
All right. I think that was Representative Adams, maybe seconded by Representative Merritt, perhaps.
Yes, I did make the motion to adjourn. Adams.
Thank you. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
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 Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Representative Powers, are you opposed to adjourning, or were you just late on the aye?
Sorry.
Any abstentions? All right, that motion passes. I just want to wish all of you a safe and healthy July, and we will see you in August.